When looking for legal cases related to a particular topic, one possible place to start would be a secondary source such as a legal encyclopedia or a law review article. Another type of secondary source would be a case digest. We will cover these in a later session. To be included in most online resources, a case must have been appealed. That is, it has to have been dealt with by an appellate or higher court. The highest appellate court is the United States Supreme Court. Local county court records, also called circuit court records, are only available from the court where they are tried. Once you are on the Thomson Reuters Westlaw homepage, select Cases, and notice when we pull things up, we have a variety of ways we could limit our case, but if we go with the broader search of all federal cases and put in a topic, domestic violence, notice we've hit 10,000 items retrieved. That is the first 10,000 items that came up with that particular topic. There might be 25 or 30,000, but it's only looking at those first 10,000. If I apply any narrowing terms on the side, it would only be looking at those 10,000. So I will not have a complete search of that particular topic. One of the ways I can avoid that limit is by adding a second term to my search. And I'm going to add violence against women. And notice I've pulled up about 600 records. So I'm not reaching that limit that we had before. Other ways I could limit would be the things that are narrower on the side, on the left, where I could limit to particular areas of law or different court jurisdictions and a variety of other sources. I would mention that if you look to the side, we have secondary sources that relate to the topics of this particular court case. I'm going to go back to my original home screen, go to Cases, and we'll do U.S. Supreme Court, and I'm going to put in domestic violence. Notice we've pulled up 92 items here. And we've got secondary sources listed on the right side and other topics that we could use to narrow this on the left side. Notice there's a yellow flag here, and the yellow flag is telling me that something is not valid in this case. It could be only one part, or it could be the whole case. So if I click on the yellow flag, it'll give me that information. Notice if I go back up here, I've got the document or the case itself, filings, which would be briefs that were filed with the court, negative treatment, history, citing references or where was this case cited, and then the table of authorities or the cases that this particular case used in its arguments. We have U.S., which is short for United States Reports. That is the official reporter for the United States Supreme Court. We have the Supreme Court reporter, which is Thomson Reuters Westlaw's reporter for the Supreme Court. And we have the Lawyer's Edition, which is a third reporter, and that one is currently owned by LexisNexis. We're looking at Thomson Reuters Westlaw's Supreme Court reporter here, And notice it's got a variety of things here, including a synopsis, headnotes, and other enhancements that have been added to the court case itself. These preliminary items were created by Thomson Reuters attorney editors. They explain the case and give reference to similar cases. Notice as I look at the headnotes, there are various topics dealt with in this case. Next to those topics, you'll notice a key. The key number is the way that Thomson Reuters Westlaw organizes their topics. That key number system is consistent throughout the Thomson Reuters Westlaw products, whether they're online or in print. If I click on one of those keys, it will show me items related to that particular area of the law. If I'm going to cite this case in a court of law, I would use the U.S. Reporter as the official citation. The official parts of a case there are the case citation, a syllabus or summary of the case, and the actual text of the court opinion, with the official publication being compiled and published by the Reporter of Decisions. The syllabus will give a brief summary of the case, including the procedural history, the issues presented, and the decision of the court. And then you'll have the court opinion. Those would be the only parts that you could cite in a courtroom. When we go to further down on this particular item, we'll notice that we get to the opinion. There can be a majority opinion and concurring opinions, which means a judge agreed with the ultimate decision, but not with the reason listed by the rest of the majority opinion. You may also have dissenting opinions by judges who disagree with the decision of the other judges. If you go back to the beginning, the Thomson Reuters Westlaw home screen, you can type in the name of a particular case. Notice that I have a couple of cases here. This looks to be as it was proceeding through the various court systems. Another case or instance you can see is if names are similar in different jurisdictions, you still might be referring to it by that particular name. If I know the citation for a case, I can put that in at the beginning here and pull up that particular case. Another way I can search is I can go to cases, and I can use the advanced search, and I can put in a term here such as domestic violence, and put in other fields such as the party name, and that will get me to that particular court case or related court cases here. Again, if I went back to Thomson Reuters Westlaw and went to cases, I could also search for our federal cases by the 8th Circuit, which is our circuit. And there we have Missouri Federal District, and we could search there. Or we could search the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. Or we could go to the state cases. And here we have federal and state cases we could look at as well, using the various methods that we've talked about before.